Thank you, Crystal. I'm excited to be here. And my name is Lana Elco, and my business is all about intimate and healing arts. And the central work that I do is I introduce a new relationship paradigm between feminine and masculine women and men on more like bigger scale, right? I believe that our intimate relationships are overdue for transformation because the way, like this old model of like traditional, like I call it mainstream marriage was created like thousands of years ago when the feminine was oppressed. We didn't have rights and freedoms, until the mid like 20th century. And we still have so many blind spots within this model, right? So what I offer is not like black and white and like I'm against the old model, but I introduce an extreme innovation, right? Pioneering something new. And I like to use different language, and I use the term sacred union, which is aligned with my tantric work that I do also with my clients and with the followers. So sacred union is a new model, is a new relationship container that helps us relate to each other on more evolved conscious level, right? And it's agreement based. It is a conscious union of the empowered masculine, empowered feminine, where we see our main agreement is truth and growth, right? And of course, we can go deeper into this topic. I also focus on healing the wounds between feminine and masculine within ourselves and in our partnership and in the collective, right? So there are 3 levels that we can address. And I also bring feminine leadership online. And when we talk about intimacy, it's like feminine sexuality and our creative energy that is very different from masculine leadership, the way we see it in the world right now. So I believe we're going through a renaissance of feminine leadership, and it is exciting to be here and introduce this new paradigm and new concept to the world. That's a great question. And this is so aligned with feminine and feminine work that I do. Bringing that ceremony ritual back into our life actually has enormous importance. Because what is ritual? Ritual is our communication with energy, right? We know that our thoughts and our feelings connected to our physical reality and what we call manifestation, right? Like something that became really, everybody talks about manifestation these days. But ritual is actually the way to communicate on an energetic level, whether we communicate with the universe, with our higher self, with the spirit world, right? But basically, quantum physics already made it like scientific fact that this is how the reality works, right? The energy becomes matter, matter becomes energy. So rituals have enormous power, especially when we are highly intentional and we believe in them and we consistently building up this practice. So I truly believe in feminine rituals, bringing back online, integrating them in everyday life, and they really help us to stay centered and stay connected and stay guided, right? We constantly receive guidance also. It's a communication back and forth on a psycho-spiritual level, right? I studied transpersonal psychology, and I like to refer to it like the psychology of the future, right? And the difference between the old school of psychology and this new branch of psychology is that we actually acknowledge that all these ritual ceremonies and spiritual work, spirituality is a part of who we are as human beings. So we're not excluding that, right? Like in the old school, sometimes like we kind of ignore that part of ourselves. So that is very, very essential and very powerful in my work. Now I teach and practice Tantra, and Tantra is all about rituals, right? So it's even like our intimate life we introduce ritual and we lean on ritual more than just like casual, right? In the modern world, everything becomes too casual. So on many levels, my life is basically a ritual and consistent ritual, right? And staying connected with that energetic communication. In terms of specific examples of my daily rituals, I usually reserve like 1.5 hours in the morning, 1.5 hours in the evening to do my morning and evening rituals, to communicate with the universe, with my vision, right? To stay connected to my vision, to feed my body, to feed my spirit, my psyche, right? And even during the day, sometimes when I feel disconnected or I feel stressed, I usually prefer to pause and do some rituals, meditate, like realign myself, release that stressful energy, like being really present, right? That's what rituals help us to do, to be really present. I love connecting with earth. So in the morning, I have my coffee. Coffee is part of my rituals, but I go outside and I, walk bare feet on the grass. Yeah. I love to feel sun on my face. I love, to do water rituals. Water is actually water element represents feminine energy the most, right? It's the flow, to be in the flow and consistently renewing yourself, right? Like cleaning ritual, right? Being in the water really helps to connect with the flow, with the feminine energy. Working with all the elements also, depending on where we are, what we feel, right? Fire, earth, air, water. And as women, we're also cyclic beings, right? So I do have rituals like on full moon and new moon, and I actually lead women's circles to facilitate these, collective rituals together. Because if we get together in a group as women and we believe in what we're doing, what we're co-creating together, there's lots of energy that we co-create together. So it's not just my personal rituals, but I also lead and facilitate different rituals for women. And in my work with couples, I also introduce couples to intimate rituals, like that really guide them how to be really present and make them work. So it's not just mechanical action, right? It's a very engaged state of communication with the spirit. So I can, of course, share so much more about specific rituals and, solstice also, like the cycles of nature. We'll always celebrate solstice and equinoxes. So that is also part of our cyclic kind of feminine nature, that we're bringing that feminine back. So we want to see time as also cycles of time rather than like linear time in the masculine paradigm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. And this is what we see still in the world. We're still living in a way in old paradigm, right? On the level of our society, political system, economical system. And we're seeing that the old system is kind of falling apart. That's why people feel stressed. There is lots of uncertainty. There is, economic challenges that we're experiencing right now in the world, where there is a political crisis, there is a threat of like a war, like in my country, in Ukraine, what is going on, like unbelievable. That's something that we couldn't even imagine that this could happen. And it's, in a way, it's threatening the whole world, right? Such aggressive and such violent leadership, of this totalitarian regime that's been basically reborn in Russia right now. So I believe that bringing that feminine back and focusing on feminine leadership is a way to go for us on the collective level, because feminine is about giving life and supporting life and serving life, right? So everything that feminine brings, we're giving life as mothers, right? So violence rarely comes from the feminine. Usually, if women feel violent or act violently, they are basically in their masculine, and they are like in defensive mode or survival mode, right? So the feminine brings life, it serves life, and it also that deep spiritual connection and understanding that we're constantly guided on a spiritual level. And women are intuitive, right? And we are visionary leaders. And masculine is more like executive leaders, like, okay, give me the plan and I will go execute it, right? So, and it is beautiful because we need both, and it's a balance of both. But right now, what is happening in the world is lack of vision, compassionate vision that is based on love and serving life. And we really derail from that. Like we drain resources on our planet, we fight, we create wars, and that comes from that lack of spiritual connection, lack of love, compassion, a lack of understanding. How can we serve life that when everybody can benefit, like women, men, and all the beings on this planet, basically. So this is what feminine brings back online, right? And what we see in the old system, that all the spiritual leadership, right, like in different religious organizations, on the level of the government, sometimes that was, in the old times, it was the same spiritual leadership and like being part of the government. We were all men, right? So it was like so unbalanced and hierarchy of control, and even what is behind this system, the whole belief system of competition, and like domination, it's all unbalanced masculine energy. And what the feminine brings is understanding the deeper roots of who we are, right? And how we can serve everyone, that we don't really need to compete all the time. And we don't need to, there is no opposition between feminine and masculine, right? We are co-creating and co-leading. And this is how it's meant to be. Like when we look back to like ancient Egypt, there are some periods of time when the feminine was in a leadership position, right, in ancient Egyptian societies. And you can see it in the art when, the queen and the king sitting on the throne together holding hands. And that was the time of the golden age, right? Something that, new historians were trying to like erase those times, the evidence of those times from history, but it's there, right? So this is how I see the situation. By bringing this feminine leadership back, integrating the visionary leadership of the feminine, we will heal the world. And we need women who are aligned with their feminine, not the old feminist movement, because it was more mimicking the masculine, right? Becoming a man. Basically, we have women in government and, in leadership position, but it's not enough, because we need to shift it within ourselves of how we lead, right? So that's the way I see the transformation can take place on our planet. I love the question. Yes. So I see my work as a new relationship paradigm between feminine and masculine. It's in a way, it's a pioneering, right? It's in a way, it's like in the recorded history, we have never experienced such a huge transformation that we are going through right now as a human race, right? It's something new. It's an exciting time to live. At the same time, it's a very challenging time to live, right? Many people go into fear. There is lots of uncertainty. How we're going to do this? We don't know any other economical or political models. Everything is so black and white, right? And this is the time of innovation. And this is the time when we can trust that the feminine, the visionary, will bring new systems, right? And new beliefs that will help us evolve to the next level. And it's all about collaboration as well. It's about co-creating, and it's the time when we relying on we are rather than I am, right? Because one of the core principles of the old system, like on the level of economy, on the political level, is like separation, right? A competition. Competition is about separation. I'm better than you, I'm winning, you're losing. So the feminine offers to step out of the whole belief system of winning or losing, right? I'm better than you. And we're co-creating, we're collaborating because we're sharing this planet, right? So this is like the global piece that I see my work can offer to the world on the collective level in the form of balancing feminine and masculine leadership and understanding how both leadership styles and models can collaborate and co-create, right? They are not in conflict. There is no need to see through the old lens, right? We are not against man, right? We are not against masculine. We want masculine on board, and we want masculine to be in action. Masculine is about action, right? Taking action, transforming energy into matter. And we want men to collaborate and co-create this new world with us. So this is on the bigger scale. Now, when we step back to our intimate relationship, I truly believe that the second level of our evolution is stepping into an intimate relationship and transform the way we relate on that level, because any change starts within, right? It starts with individual work. It's not like the society tells us what needs to be changed and we work on ourselves. No, we're working on ourselves first. And so many people are now doing a massive amount of work on themselves, like inner work, right? We can see like all this, like when I started like 2012, I started to do breath work, right? Holotropic breath work. And it was like such a huge breakthrough for me. Like I received so many insights, and I created massive changes in my life. Moved to California, started a new life from scratch, started this healing business. And at the time, breathwork was not that popular. Now that everybody does breathwork, like people go to Peru to do like ayahuasca, all the healing work. We start to understand the expanded states of consciousness work also, right? To truly expand the way we perceive reality, to change that lens from the old patriarchal, like in being in our head, kind of logical approach, to more expanded and more connected understanding of the reality on ourselves. Now, the second step is to apply these changes in our intimate relationships, because when we transform ourselves, we also want to transform the containers and the models of intimate relationships and allow the diversity of different models to take place, right? Because when we see like the old traditional marriage paradigms, it's very like black and white, like what we should do, how we should feel, how we should relate. Everything is kind of merged together. And when you pull one thread, like the whole marriage can fall apart. So I really help people to create very unique, customized relationship containers based on sacred union, based on their truth, based on their desires, their archetype, their personality type, relationship dynamics. So they create something unique that works specifically for them, and a spacious container where they can grow together. So this, and one of the pieces is like separating those agreements, right? Like finances from sexuality and attraction, practical aspects, parenthood. So they're not so entangled to the point that they become corrupted, right? You pull one thing and everything falls apart. So this is kind of in a nutshell what I do on the level of intimate relationships, and how I help conscious couples to create a really sustainable container where can they feel safe, they can be seen, connected, and can grow together. And there is no sacrifice within this container. So this is in a nutshell. As above, so below, everything is interconnected. And when we create change within ourselves, within our intimate relationships, it will be reflected on the collective. And it will bring us to more balanced leadership and more balanced society. Empowered masculine, empowered feminine, leading together.